Almost 400,000 households a year in the UK experience a domestic fire. Most incidents are minor, but unfortunately some prove fatal. As a domiciliary care worker, you will be working with a group of people who are particularly vulnerable. Sadly, more than half of those killed in domestic fires every year are over the age of 60. Your service users will not necessarily all fall into this category, but they are likely to have health problems, and some may have restricted mobility, which will be noted in their care plan. So what are your responsibilities as a care worker? And what can you do to prevent fires and the distress and damage that they cause? The overall risk of fire in a service user's property will have been made by your manager or supervisor during their original assessment. They will have evaluated the risks and decided whether or not existing precautions are adequate. However, you are the one who will see any alterations in your service user's situation on a daily or weekly basis. As a domiciliary care worker, you have a legal responsibility under the Health and Safety at Work regulations to be observant and to report any hazards or risks that may affect your own or your service user's safety to your manager. You also have a legal responsibility not to put others at risk as a result of your actions or inactions. Fires don't start just because people are careless with matches or fall asleep with a lit cigarette, although smoking is a major factor. Fires begin when fuel, oxygen and heat are all present in the right quantities. This is known as the fire triangle. Without fuel, there is nothing to burn and feed the fire. Without oxygen, a fire cannot breathe, and just like a human being, it will suffocate and go out. Without heat, the oxygen cannot ignite. So, if any one of these three elements is taken away, a fire cannot start. Fire prevention is simply a matter of keeping these three elements at a safe distance from each other. Let's look at some sources of heat within the average home. Apart from the more obvious ones such as cigarettes and portable heaters, there are radiators, electrical appliances, lighters, plugs and cables, candles, and even sunlight. The effect of the sun focused through glass can be enough to start a fire if it finds a source of fuel. Fuel comes in three forms: solids, like paper, dust, wood, fabrics, rubber, and plastics. Liquids, like lighter fuel, vegetable oil, paint, some cleaning products, perfume, even nail varnish, and gases, such as propane, butane, and natural gas. Gas is highly flammable, and a gas leak can be extremely dangerous. If you suspect a leak, turn off the gas at the mains. Do not turn on any electrical switches or use any naked flames, and call the gas supplier immediately. Alert your manager if you have any concerns about the use of gas in your service user's home. Oxygen. Well, that's freely available in the air that we all breathe. As you can see from this demonstration, fires will suffocate without oxygen. So if you can limit the free flow of air to a fire, you will help to contain it. In sheltered housing accommodation and many other buildings with communal or public areas, there will be fire doors. These slow down the spread of smoke and fire, but also reduce the flow of air within a building. Fire doors should be kept closed and never propped open with a fire extinguisher. The best defence against fire is to prevent it happening in the first place. And the most effective way of doing this is ensuring that the three elements that cause fires are kept apart. It is worth pointing out that as a domiciliary care worker, you have a legal obligation to be observant and to report any risks or hazards that could cause a fire in your service user's home. We talked about the need for heat to be present for a fire to ignite. A principal source of heat in every domestic environment is the electricity supply. Electrical faults are a major cause of domestic fires, so you should make a habit of regularly checking electrical appliances within your service user's home. Look out for frayed cords on kettles, vacuum cleaners and irons. You should not use any items that are in this condition. If you discover damaged appliances, you should inform your service user and, if necessary, your manager. Electric blankets must be serviced annually. Some areas have free testing centres, or alternatively, retailers where the item was bought will often offer this service. They should always be switched off and unplugged by the service user at night and never used in conjunction with a hot water bottle. There should be a free flow of air around the television set to prevent it from overheating, and vases should not be put on top. If the water spills into the electrics, it may cause a short in the electrical circuit, and this could easily start a fire. Another major fire risk is posed by candles and tea lights, which have been placed on furniture or televisions and left to burn out. The flame causes the surface of the furniture to heat up, and in some cases the candle will melt and the tea light can fall. If one falls into the TV, it could ignite the interior. Heaters should also be kept a safe distance from furniture, clothes and other flammable materials. Appliances must be unplugged as soon as you have finished using them, and your service user should be encouraged to do the same. And they should never be pulled out by the cord. Sockets shouldn't be overloaded. This generates more electrical current, which in turn generates more heat. So if a plug feels warm, you must remove it at once, or if a socket is faulty in any way or has any scorch marks on it, it should be repaired as soon as possible by a qualified electrician. Blown light bulbs should be replaced as soon as possible, as a live light socket can be very dangerous. Flickering lights, fuses blowing or repeated power cuts could very well be a signal of faulty wiring and should be investigated urgently by a professional electrician. If you remain concerned and consider that you or your service user might be in danger from any of these situations, you must inform your manager or supervisor. Smoking is one of the principal causes of domestic fires in the UK. If your service user is a smoker, you must be particularly vigilant. Ideally, they should use a deep ashtray with a broad base. Try to discourage your service user from balancing their ashtrays on the arm of a chair or putting it on the sofa or bed.
Keep this ashtray on the table. It's a lot safer.
When finished with, the contents should be doused with water before disposal, as this will minimise the risk of them smouldering and reigniting in the waste bin. Falling asleep with a lit cigarette is extremely dangerous, and if your service user is doing this on a regular basis, you must inform your manager. They are not only endangering themselves, but their neighbours too. The possibilities for heat, fuel and oxygen to meet up in the kitchen are numerous. If you see newly melted or scorched handles on pans, you should be concerned. Mention it to your service user and establish if they are leaving pans unattended or handles overhanging heated rings. Matches and lighters should not be left close to gas rings, and all appliances should be switched off and unplugged after use. Don't leave flammable material like paper near to sources of heat, such as a toaster. One of the most common sources of fire in the home is the chip pan or deep fryer. Hot oil should never be left unattended. If it does catch fire, do not throw water on it. It will only make matters worse. As soon as the water meets the hot fat, it turns to steam and expands in the pan, causing the hot oil to spill out violently. Turn off the heat if possible. Provided that the fire is small and contained, it may be possible to smother it, to deprive it of oxygen, either with a lid, a fire blanket, or a damp cloth, and leave it to cool. The same method of smothering the fire can be used on any other small, controlled fire within the home, but only if there is absolutely no danger to yourself. If in any doubt about the severity of the fire or the quantity of smoke, leave the room, close the door, shout a warning to others, and dial 999. When you begin working with a new service user, you should take time to familiarise yourself with the property in terms of fire precautions and escape routes. Ask your service user if they have made an escape plan in the event of fire. If they haven't, you should encourage them and anyone else living in the property to do so. Where possible, try to find 2 exit routes, as it might be much harder to find your way if the building is filling with smoke. Although your service user will be more familiar with the layout, they may still be disorientated if asked to evacuate their home in an emergency. If the service user lives in a block of flats or in sheltered housing, you must find out if there are any existing plans in place should a fire break out. Meeting points, for instance, where people can be counted once they have left their homes. Smoke alarms should be fitted in all households. It is likely that your service user will have one. They will probably have been advised to install one at the time of their assessment. It must be checked every month and the batteries changed regularly. Remind your service user and assist with the maintenance of the alarm, provided it is within easy reach. Try to find out where the main switches for the electricity, gas and water supplies are, as you may need to switch them off urgently or inform the emergency services of their location. Remember, you have a responsibility for your own safety too. Once you have established your escape route, keep it clear of obstructions and check it regularly. Keys to window locks or back doors should be kept where you and your service user can reach them quickly in an emergency. In a block of flats or sheltered housing, be certain you know the locations of fire exits, crash doors, extinguishers, and any other fire prevention measures that have been fitted in the building. Most of your service users won't have a fire extinguisher, but they will be present in communal buildings such as sheltered housing accommodation. Check with your manager about the policy for use of extinguishers. The most common types of extinguisher are water, foam, dry powder, and carbon dioxide. Under EU regulations, all new and replacement extinguishers must be red with a coloured band that matches the old extinguisher colour. All extinguishers work by removing one of the 3 elements of the triangle of fire. Extinguishers manufactured to EU standards will be marked with their contents and operating instructions in 3 simple steps. Operation of fire extinguishers is simple, but a few rules need to be followed. Remember the acronym PASS. Pull out the safety pin. Aim the nozzle at the fire. Squeeze the trigger. And sweep. Use a sweeping motion. When pulling out the safety pin, don't hold the trigger, as this may grip the pin, preventing its removal. Water extinguishers are red in colour and are suitable for carbon-based materials such as wood, paper, textiles and other similar solid materials. To operate, pull out the safety pin. This will break the plastic seal, which indicates whether the extinguisher has been used before. Carry the extinguisher to a safe distance from the fire, 6 metres or 20 feet if possible. Place the extinguisher on the floor and kneel down next to it. Point the nozzle at the fire and squeeze the trigger. Always keep low. Aim at the base of the fire, gradually moving in as the fire is extinguished, and never stand over the fire even after it's gone out. The water extinguishes the fire by cooling. It removes the heat from the triangle of fire. Foam extinguishers are either red with a cream band or cream. They are suitable for fires involving burning liquids, such as cooking fat. Again, when using, keep low down and spray from a slightly closer distance of around 4 metres. The foam is water-based and can therefore be used on the same materials as a water extinguisher, in addition to burning liquids. The foam forms a blanket over the burning liquid, cutting off the oxygen from the triangle of fire. The third extinguisher is dry powder. This is either red with a blue band or blue. It is for use on electrical equipment, machinery, flammable liquids and gases, paper, wood, textiles and fabrics. Dry powder works by covering the fire in a cloud of powder, thereby cutting off the oxygen supply and suffocating the fire. Again, keep low down at a safe distance until the fire has been extinguished. It's recommended for use only in kitchen and boiler room areas. If used in confined living areas or corridors, it could impede a rescue or escape by reducing visibility. It is extremely messy. Finally, we have the carbon dioxide extinguisher. This is either red with a black band or black. Again, this extinguisher is used on fires caused by electrical equipment, burning liquids, and if there is no risk of explosion, on burning gases. It works by covering the fire with a cloud of carbon dioxide, again cutting off the oxygen supply. With this extinguisher, you need to be closer to the fire for it to be effective. Do not touch the horn or the connecting pipe, as there can be a build-up of frost and ice, which may cause cold burns. So what should you do in an emergency? If fire does break out while you are actually at the service user's home, your priority is safe evacuation of the premises. Alert other people in the property. Remain calm, and providing you can get to a telephone, dial 999. You will be answered by an operator who will ask which emergency service you require.
Hello?
Hello, fire brigade.
You will be connected to the fire operator who will ask how he or she can help.
Hello, my name's Robert.
Stay calm. Don't shout. Speak clearly, giving your name, the address of the property, and information about who is with you. Be as accurate as you can. Landmarks might help fire crews, particularly in remote rural areas. Postcodes are helpful but not essential. Be ready to give more details if required. They may ask if you know the cause of the fire and if anyone is trapped or hurt.
It's at 56 Park
The fire operator will advise you what action to take. They may suggest that for your own safety you leave the property and allow the fire service to rescue your service user, in which case you should leave them in a safe position, ideally on the floor, and if possible within reach of the phone. Make a precise note of where they are so that you can give details to the emergency crew. If smoke is already starting to fill the area, stay low to the floor where you will find fresher, cooler air. Hot air rises automatically. Cover your face with a damp cloth if possible. This will offer you some protection against toxic fumes as well. Many people still have old upholstered furniture that does not comply with modern safety standards. To know whether furniture is safety compliant, look for a label on any external surface of the item stating that it complies with the 1988 safety regulations. Polyurethane foam gives off toxic fumes and burns very fast, so it's a good idea to be aware of this in the event of fire. If you are not sure where the fire has spread, you should check doors before entering a room. Feel the door with the back of your hand. Don't use an open palm to test the door. A burn to this area is likely to be more debilitating and may leave you less able to use your hand to help yourself or others. If you feel any heat, don't enter the room. Opening the door will allow more air in to feed the fire. If a door is safe to pass through, close it firmly behind you. If you are trapped, block any gaps under doors between you and the fire, preferably with a damp towel or blanket. It may then be safe to open a window to get fresh air and to signal for help. Wait to be rescued. Don't jump unless you are told to by the emergency services. If there is an agreed meeting point, assemble there so that the fire service knows you are safe and not trapped in the building. Your responsibility as a domiciliary care worker is to protect your own safety and that of your service user to the best of your ability. Always check that you have left the service user's home in a safe state, rubbish bins emptied, cooker turned off, and all appliances not in use unplugged. But ultimately, if you are concerned at all that your service user is putting their own safety, yours or anybody else's in the locality at risk, you must report it to your manager. Fires can be fatal, but many are avoidable. So, understand how fires start. Be aware of the environment in which you are working. Know what to do in an emergency, and above all, be vigilant of changes in the service user's home. You can help prevent a fire before it even starts.